What's your guess of what's going to happen with VRPs, its relation to direct debit? Will they coexist? Will they merge? Will they compete? What's going to happen? What, if you had a crystal ball or a magic wand for VRPs, what would you say will happen?
I think if just to pick up on what you said right at the end there, my view is I think they'll coexist. I think they should merge. I think that's the smart money, but whether the industry will actually look at that, who knows? I think they can coexist. I don't think there's so much rubbish talked about VRPs, usually by people that have got a vested interest in VRPs, to be honest, how they're going to completely get rid of direct debits. I just don't see that happening, and I know we probably all feel pretty much the same on that. For me, the features of VRP is what direct debit should be looking at in terms of how it changes. It will coexist alongside direct debit, I think, quite nicely. I think there are some, again, I look at things from a customer point of view, and there are customers where direct debit just doesn't work for them. Billers will have people on direct debit who constantly the direct debit is failing every month or every other month because it just doesn't fit their lifestyle. They've got multiple incomes. We've all heard about the gig economy taking off in the last 10 years. Heard so many people have got side hustles to make up their monthly income that they're getting income in irregular patterns. Direct debit's not great for that. You can't switch the payment date each month to suit when you've got the money. So for those kind of people, for people who genuinely struggle on a monthly basis to make sure they've got money in the account when the bills are due, I think VRP could be a really clever solution. But I go back to what I said. I think the flexibility of VRPs, the industry should be looking at that and looking to build it into direct debit because direct debit's established. Awareness of direct debit. We stopped advertising direct debit because it became awareness was just ubiquitous. You didn't need to advertise it. People know it's there. Some people need a little bit more education as to how it works, particularly younger people. But to put all your eggs into the VRP basket, you're going back to where we were with direct debit in 1990. You're going to have to put an awful lot of effort behind raising awareness of it, raising understanding, getting billers to actually offer it is a whole different ballgame. For me, I think VRP is a really interesting conversation because it opens people's eyes to what direct debit could be. And we've got a huge opportunity as an industry to actually start having those conversations now.
Yeah, I think you said some really interesting things, Mike, about the people for whom direct debit is unsuitable. My view is that over time, organisations know the profile of those people and don't offer them direct debit. So it's not as if, because if you look at the failure rate of direct debit, it's like around about 2%, and it's growing as inflation grows and wage growth doesn't match that. But 2% is phenomenally low. It's incredible that a failure rate that low. And that shows, I think, that the billers know who they want to offer the product to. I think variable recurring payments fits really well at the low end, or where there's a bit of 50-50, or that risk is there.
Absolutely.
I feel like continuous card authority is more analogous to VRP than direct debit, and I think a lot of the thinking around VRP and the pricing and the consumer protection is coming from very much from a card world. It's coming from a card through a card lens. And I think this is one of those, we're all on this call, we're all fairly senior, we have to admit. We've been around a while. So,
Around a while, I'm not sure about the senior bit for me, but anyway, been around a while. I'll go for that.
We've been around a while, and it feels like sometimes, this sort of the view, a longer term view of people with experience isn't necessarily taken into account. So when you're thinking about how do we make VRP attractive, they're not necessarily looking at the right things. I think I heard one comment from a panelist at a conference that said, direct debit will be replaced by a QR code by 2030. It's nonsense, because it's never going to happen. No matter how fast your rails are and how good they are at A to A. RP does a really good job, and that flexibility, that's a key one. But there has to be a balance as well. The bill still has to be paid, so the biller still needs to work out the risk of offering someone a subscription or a different payment term.
I think that's absolutely key.